Greetings and salutations, everyone. Today we have, as promised in our previous video, returned to the MMORPG Scarlet Blade Vendetta, or the name as commented by one of you guys, Skimply Clothed Waifus Save the World, the MMO, acronym to SCWSW, which in all honesty is a pretty accurate description of this MMORPG, if I'm being honest. I mean, people often jest at getting higher level gear in MMORPGs giving you less clothing, at least when referring to female characters. Well, this MMORPG decided to take it a few bunny hops further to no clothes. No clothes at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this MMORPG for a variety of reasons I'd rather not point out at this current moment. Physics. That being said, however, the censor job alone on this video is time-consuming, but of course totally worth it. The Jiggly Physics God would be proud of this game. Anyway, let's move on. Not to the club. Wrong clip. We'll get to that later in the video. Let's just move on to something else like combat. Yes, perfect. And more specifically, the mech combat that doesn't really exist in any other MMORPGs released. In Scarlet Blade Vendetta, you gain the ability to turn into one of these awesome mechs. Some even have extremities coming out of them. Extremities you wouldn't think would come out of them. And some even look more like Gundams. But the one thing that remains the same throughout all of the mechs that you can transform into, and that is that they are pretty epic and fun to use. STIX, because he is a tank that uses a gigantic sword, his mech is pretty much the same, just on a grander scale, being a giant mech with a giant sword, with really flashy skills. Like seriously, that sword is massive. Then there is of course Mrs. STIX, who is a healer, and therefore her mech uses a plasma cannon that also heals people in style and grace. Plus, who wouldn't be afraid of a gigantic mech healer with a plasma cannon? You'd have to be crazy. Next we have my mech, which is a horse. Yep. I go from an assassin to a horse that stabs people with an arm blade toothpick. A little underwhelming, I know. I mean, there's just not really much to say. I'm a horse. I got nothing against horses, but I mean, it's just not as cool. Anyway, lastly, we've got Eve. He is a cyberblade, which is essentially a ninja, just straight up a ninja with a sword. But his mech transforms him into a Gundam. Every little boy's dream. This Gundam can flee itself across the battlefield with some pretty flashy moves, if I do say so myself. Unfortunately, flashy skills aren't everything, and he ended up dying. A lot. And I mean like so many times, even against the same enemies. There was a 50-50 chance whenever you look back at him, he's dead. That's how often he died. You could make a game out of it. But don't get me wrong, Scarlet Blade Vendetta is a very difficult game. The monsters hit you like a truck and they are quite unforgiving. So dying in this game isn't hard. Let me just tell you that. We even tried out a dungeon for our relative level range and it was an absolute nightmare. It was filled with death around every single corner and we didn't even make it around every corner. We used our overpowered mechs and we still found ourselves getting overwhelmed by the monsters and just dying consistently. You can say we were a little unprepared for this endeavor, but nevertheless we tried it out and, you know, we'll try it out again and see if we can eventually make it through. So yeah, this didn't discourage us at all as we continued our journey to level 40. Now guys, if you watched our previous Scarlet Blade Vendetta video, you'll know that we traversed through a frozen tundra filled with mechs and cult leaders and tentacles, giant tentacles, just kind of wiggling around in the walls, just, you know, minding their own business. I mean, you have to wonder, considering this is Scarlet Blade, I think you and I know where this is going, and it's not pretty. So I'm just skip past these tentacles, yeah. Oh, look, it's an NPC! Oh no. Well, it's not something you see every day, really. A captured half-naked Arcana with a see-through bodysuit. Actually, maybe you do see this every day in Scarlet Blade. You just gotta love this MMORPG. They really think out of the box. That or they just read way too much adult Japanese literature. Maybe both. Anyway, we finally made it to a brand new region, since, as I was mentioning, we previously came from an icy tundra. We now made it into this rocky canyon filled with a lot of interesting monsters, and the scenery itself is pretty damn awesome. And whilst we're on the topic of regions, I wanted to point out, despite the clothing in Scarlet Blade, the regions themselves are pretty damn unique. Not only that, but the combat is surprisingly fast-paced, as you can spam your skills like crazy. As long as you've got enough SP potions, you can keep the combat going indefinitely, which is really enjoyable. There would be nothing worse than having to wait around for your MP, or in this case SP, to recover just so that you could continue fighting. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, of tab target MMORPGs out there, and I would have to say 70% of them do something wrong in terms of their combat. Whereas in Scarlet Blade's case, I really have no complaints, except for maybe the fact that the skills cost too much SP, but you do get a lot of SP potions. Even when you complete quests, they give you SP and HP potions, so you really don't have an issue. So in general, Scarlet Blade's combat is really good. So, after grinding for hours and hours, dying consistently, and getting brand new outfits as rewards, or in my case, losing outfits, we finally leveled up enough to continue further and leave this awesome new canyon place behind us. But before we do, we decided to visit the best club in all of the world. This is where all of the Arcanas go to relax and let off some pent-up frustration. It was here where you will meet the most enthusiastic ladies ever, working hard to achieve their killer bods. I mean, with how intense these dances are, and the fact that they never stop, they're probably burning hundreds and hundreds of calories. I'm surprised they are not skeletons by this point. Well, except for this lady, she keeps sitting down. She's probably not burning a whole lot. But holy mother of jiggly physics, this is going to take a whole lot of time to censor. Maybe I should just use a square of family friendliness. But I mean, it's a pretty good dance, you know. It's kind of mesmerizing. But anyway, this was our journey thus far through Scarlet Blade. We've progressed a lot since our first part, from wee little nublets to slightly higher nublets. And to be honest, we're still having a hell of a lot of fun playing through this MMORPG. It's highly addictive. You guys have no idea. So if you want to try it out for yourself, there will be a link in the description for it, but a word of advice before you do get into this game: join the Royal Guards and do not play my class unless you want to become a horse. I'm just putting it out there. It's not the greatest. Either way, guys, have a good day, night, or afternoon, wherever it is where you are, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.
口づけくらいじゃ